In this video, I'm going to walk you through my entire process of shooting my first ever interview from pre-production to production to post-production. I will teach you how you can use Adobe Premiere Pro to effortlessly, seamlessly edit multiple camera sequences. It's going to be a lot of fun, so let's get started. For your convenience, I have divided this video into 3 sections. You can follow these timestamps on the screen if you are interested in any particular part. Also, I would request you to watch this video till the very end, because in the end, I will share a few tips about the things that I did wrong in this project and how you can avoid them when shooting your interview. I was sitting in my room reading a book as always. At that point, Dad walked in. He came up to me and said that he has some work for me. He said that he wants to record an interview of Dadu, my grandfather. He said that yesterday when we put an interview of Irfan. So Irfan is basically the host of the show Guftgu. It comes on Rajya Sabha TV. And when he was watching an interview of Irfan, and I think so this is an interview of Jaspal Singh. He is a singer. I think it was this interview that he was watching when he said that nobody wants to know about his life or know about his struggles and his story basically. Initially, I was a bit hesitant, but then later, magically, the interviewer inside me who always wanted to interview guests, because I love podcasts, I love interviews, I love long form conversations so much. Dadu was very excited knowing that, okay, we're doing this interview. Like one day before that day, me and Dad, we went to Dadu and we tried to discuss what are the points that he definitely wants me to talk about in the interview. I just wanted to know what are the highlights that he wants me to talk about. Coming to production. Now these days I'm busy doing Zoom meetings regarding college, final project submission and all that. It's so annoying to do them, but alright, we're done. College is over, last semester, just a few more days and we'll be through it, so that's not a big deal. On that day as well, there was one such Zoom meeting, and that is the reason I had told that the interview will be post 4 p.m. So in that 1 hour to 2 hours that I had before the interview would start, I made sure to put in the maximum effort I could. डेस्क बंद करो एक बार, मैं बोल रहा हूँ ना. इंटरव्यू के पीछे था बस गमला एकदम बहुत होमली लगता है. And tried to make this room into the best possible atmosphere for him to just speak about his entire life in the way that he wants to. The first thing I was concerned about is lighting. So I had only one major source of light, that was the ring light. So naturally I had to place it somewhere where it would light up Dadu's face. The major source of light that was filling in the room was the light coming from the window. The next thing was obviously camera. I used 2 cameras to record the interview. Both were smartphones. So the one which was on the subject recording Dadu was the brand new Samsung Galaxy S20, and the one which was on me, was recording me, was here. It was Galaxy S10e, which is the one I'm currently using to record this video. I'll just go for the vlog style. I'm not trying to get too cinematic here. This is like a second camera. This will be in vision as well. So if I just keep this light here, I'm very curious to see how this affects my face. Next was the audio. I knew from the start that I wanted to use lav mics. I have 2 lav mics. The initial plan was that this lav mic, which would be connected to Dadu's voice, that would go into the camera that was recording him. And this lav mic, which I would be using to record the audio, would be connected to my camera. Now Galaxy S10 has the headphone jack, but Galaxy S20 is where Samsung decided to ditch the headphone jack. So these kind of instances, these kind of situations can happen. What is important is to just stay calm and take a breath and think about what you can do instead of panicking and being like, oh my god, there's no headphone jack. The lav mic which was connected to Dadu's shirt, I inserted this into the PC and the audio was getting recorded into Adobe Audition. Like right now I'm recording my audio here. The lav mic which I was wearing, I inserted it into my old phone. I still have it, Samsung Galaxy A5 2016, and I used the voice recorder in this phone to record my audio. The audio that was getting recorded into both the cameras, because the cameras, they're recording video, they're also recording audio. What this ensured is I had 2 more sources of backup audio just in case any of the lav mics fails to work mid-session or worse, it doesn't work at all. While I was doing the interview, I had my notes written down on the computer screen and I was just scrolling through. Now, this was the first time I was speaking in Hindi on the camera. I'm very comfortable speaking in English to the camera because English as a language is something that I've learned a lot. I have read a lot of English. I have written a lot of English, and it's been like my go-to language. But with Hindi, especially after my 10th standard in school, Hindi's just been a language which is there to communicate with friends and family. So what you will notice in this interview is a lot of the times these English words are popping up for which I'm really struggling to find a corresponding vocabulary in Hindi. हिंदी में बोलता हूँ, हिंदी में बोलता हूँ।
इसको सेट एक बार देख ले।
अगर ऐसा लगे थोड़ा बहुत
black वाला दबाव है बटन।
Speaking in Hindi is kind of outside my comfort zone, so that was that challenge as well. The interview went on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. I'll get back to why the duration was such, but that's how it was. Right, so after importing all the files into my computer, this is how I would approach editing the project. In my hard disk, I would make a new folder inside projects not yet done. That would be the Adobe documentary. Now in this folder, there will be a folder called videos. In that, there will be 2 folders. Like, I just love organization because it helps me stay sane. The Adobe will have all the videos that were shot from this main camera, and Multicam will have all the videos and stuff which was shot from my camera here. Alright, so we got Premiere Pro up. Now just for your information, I'm using Adobe Premiere Pro 2020. So we just make a new project. We'll call it the Adobe Documentary Revisited. This is how I like to do. Inside the main folder, I'll make another folder called Premiere, and in that folder I will save this project file, the Adobe Documentary Revisited. And the reason for that, I'll just explain. In the main folder, when you save the project inside another folder, you get all these extra stuff, which is this. The Premiere Pro autosave is very important. Adobe Premiere Pro just crashes very often, and if you keep your autosave to, like, let's say 2 minutes or every 5 minutes, the program keeps saving a version of your project every 2 to 5 minutes. You have one backup source to easily get your work back, so you won't lose a lot of stuff. This is like a custom workspace that I use inside Premiere Pro. It's my working_Premiere Pro workspace. That is something I've made over a period of time editing. The beautiful thing about this workspace is that everything that I need is in this workspace, mostly, except for color. When I have to color correct, and sometimes for audio, I don't switch any other tabs. So if you want to know how to make a workspace like this, or if you want to know more about this workspace, leave a comment down below and I make a video on that. Before importing any media, I'll make a new bin here and call it Dadu Cam, and I'll make another bin here, call it Me Cam. When you do like a big project and you have a lot of sequences and a lot of stuff going on, it's easy to get confused between different things. I'll just import like one video, like the beginning part. Better. Making multiple folders and subfolders, because you can see it all starts to make sense, because when you importing here, you don't know where you save that audition file or audition. You go to file, new, sequence, or control N, and I've been using the 2:1 aspect ratio sequence, which is basically 30 frames per second, because both the cameras are recording at 30 frames per second, so you should know your frame rate. And the frame size of 3840 by 1920 2:1, because it just feels a lot more cinematic. Even with this video, if you're watching it on a smartphone, try just pulling the edges out and it fills in the screen, so it gives you more real estate on the phone, if you will. And that's your main sequence. Now the first thing that you need to do here is, because the audio and the video are different, we need to match the videos with the audio. So here's your video. It's gonna ask clip doesn't match sequence setting, just say keep existing settings. Going into effects control, you'll have to increase the scale a bit, probably like so. So I'll bring the audio down into this. Now you'll see a marker here. Because I've already used this, so I'm using the plus and the minus key on my keyboard to zoom in and zoom out into the timeline. While you were recording, you want to find one particular spot which is common in both the microphone and with the camera that was recording. So ideally it can be like a clap or some big, very prominent noise once you start recording. But if it is not the case, you can just use any word. So in this case, I use me saying namaskar in both the cameras, and I use that as the marker point. So now what you want to do is unlink the camera. You can delete this, delete the original one and replace it with the microphone. Right, clip up. Oops. How does Unmesh manage so much, man? Same thing quickly, I'll do it for Dadu's camera as well. It's important to get Namaskar. Yep, that's what it is. Now you got both the video files. Pressing L on keyboard to link these two. Now one thing you want to do here is, and I'll show you why, is you want to cut or trim the video files to that marker which you have for both the cameras. I'm going to nest this as camera 1 and I'm going to nest this one as camera 2. Now we had 2 cameras recording the interview, but I felt that just to add a little more feel, like a little more drama, I thought of adding a third camera which would be zoomed in for Dadu's close-up. Now this was the first camera which was on me. This is the second camera's footage. It has to be framed a little properly around about this. Now in order to get a good idea of framing, you can use the title action safe. That will help you understand what the framing should be. Now in order to make a third camera, you just simply select the second camera, hold down Alt on your keyboard, left click on that camera 2 and drag it out. So that makes the camera 3. You can just select nest and say camera 3. For camera 3, I want to make it a close-up camera. Now this is like a DIY quick fix because we did not have a third camera handy. So that's why I did it this way. And if you go into your project now, you have camera 1, camera 2 and camera 3. The next step, I know it's getting a lot of steps, but it's almost done. We're almost there. Now you want to select camera 1, holding shift on your keyboard, select camera 3, that selects all the 3 cameras. Simply right click and select create multi-camera sequence. Now this create multi-camera sequence dialog box is important. Synchronize point. Now I have selected in points. That is the reason because I trimmed all these cameras to start from the exact same point, which is me saying Namaskar. This is important. Audio sequence settings. Now I have selected switch audio. Now in case if you want all the audio for all the 3 cameras to be coming from one single camera, that's your main camera, that could be your case. In that case, you select camera 1. Camera 1 is going to be the first camera which is in this sequence, but I have selected switch audio here because I want the audios from the different videos to be showing up, and hit OK. In the project window, you have another sequence which is called camera 1, the first camera in your settings, and it will be followed by multicam. Right click on this sequence and say new sequence from clip. Now you'll be like, man, you told me it's multicam, but I can just see your face. That's just one camera. I'll be like, wait for a second. Here's the big deal. In order to see all the 3 cameras, you just need to click on this button here, which is toggle multi-camera view. If you don't see this button here, which is most likely the case, you select this plus button editor here. Here's the multicam, toggle multicam, and just drag it and place it in like so. All right. So the moment you click on that button, magically you'll have this window. On the left hand side, you have the 3 cameras, and on the right side, you have your final product, as in the edit, like the final edit. How is that going to look? The moment you press 1, 2 and 3 on your keyboard, you're going to see that on the right hand side, the camera is going to switch from the first camera to the second camera to the third camera. Let's do a bit of editing with this. You're just going to hit play on your keyboard.
आज के इस खास इंटरव्यू में हम एक ऐसे शख्स से बात करने जा रहे हैं, उनका इंटरव्यू लेने जा रहे हैं, जिनकी कहानी सुनने के बाद आपके दिमाग में ये सवाल ज़रूर आएगा कि ऐसा भी हो सकता है, ऐसा भी पॉसिबल है कि एक इंसान जो सिर्फ सपने देखता है.
What you see here in the timeline is multiple cuts that Premiere has placed for you. That's just how simple it is. And if by mistake you you press a button that you did not intend to, you simply go back, select that. You want to make it 3, you simply press 3 and boom, that's all it is. If you want to change the audio of this particular segment from camera 1 to, let's say, camera 2, you just press 2 on it and now you'll hear. Alright, that's it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. As I promised in the beginning of the video, here are a few tips that I would like to share which I did wrong in this project that you could avoid doing in your shooting your interview and editing your interview. If it is an interview about someone's life story, I would suggest that you decide a duration of the interview pre-hand mutually. We did not do this, and that's the reason the interview just kept going on and on forever. During that time, I had no sense of where this is going or how it is going to end. In this case, the only light that I was using was the ring light and was placed over there, and the other big source of light was the light coming from the window. If you are having a similar sort of setup, it is important to be mindful of the time at which you shoot the interview. We started in like early evening. By the time the interview ended, it had already gotten dark outside. You will notably see a difference in image consistency in the later segment of the interview, which you can see in this video as well. If you look at the initial section, this is the lighting in the initial part of the interview. By the end of the interview, you will see that there's a lot more darkness around the subject because the major light which was filling in from the window, it just wasn't there. It got dark outside. The final mistake I did in this project is not adjusting the master slider for audio. I'll open the original project once. Yep, if you go into the audio track mixer, if you don't see it here, obviously you won't. You should go into audio and window and then audio track mixer. What is happening is, if you look at the audio level here, it is coming up, but it's like stopping at around -12 decibels. What you can do is like increase the master volume just a little bit, and that will help the audio peak at around -6 decibels, which is ideal. You can still wear headphones and very easily listen to it, but most of the people don't wear headphones. For the people who don't wear headphones, just watching the video from the speaker, it's good to have the audios a little higher. Alright, so as a final call to action, take the knowledge that you gathered in this video and take it as a test. You make a multicam sequence. It could be an interview, it could be just you talking through multiple angles, and make a video yourself and post it on YouTube. And make sure to link that video in this video's comment section so that I can see it. And don't worry, you don't need to take the Adobe Creative Cloud subscription to get Premiere Pro. You can always use the 7-day free trial that comes with Adobe. If you go into Adobe Creative Cloud, you will see that all these softwares can be downloaded for the 7-day free trial. You can click here to subscribe to this channel. You can click the video on the top to watch the full interview. You can click the video on the bottom to watch an animated video I recently made. It's a fun animated video, you can check that out. Also, while you're here, you can consider checking other videos on this channel. Peace.